Good evening. My name is David Hawksley, and I welcome you to our monthly talk in English. I'll begin this evening with a reading from A Happy Life by the spirit Joanna de Angelis, psychographed by Givaldo Franco. As much as possible, immerse your mind in study. Study rids the mind of ignorance and provides discernment. Study and work are the wings that foster evolution. Knowledge is the message of life. Study is not limited to just the classroom, however. Life itself is an open book that teaches all who are willing to learn. Now my opening prayer. Dear friends, incarnate and discarnate, join us this evening as I share our topic for this evening. Inspire me and direct me to provide enlightenment as best I can. Master Jesus, I pray that you guide me through these. And with this, dear Creator, Father in heaven, I ask you for permission to begin my talk this evening. By your grace, so be it. This evening's talk is In My Father's House There Are Many Mansions. This comes from the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 3. It begins with a reading. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you into myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. This is the Bible, King James Version, the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. What does this mean? It means, don't worry. We got this. God is going to be preparing a place for us. Where, as we progress, we rid ourselves of our imperfections and become purer spirits. And we progress, and our planet progresses, and we draw closer to God. The different states of the soul in its spiritual wanderings. Our Father's house is the universe. The mansions are the multiple worlds within the universe. The dwelling place is equal to our level of progress. I have a short video I'd like to share with you showing you the connectedness of our universe on a microscopic level and at the subatomic level, and of course in the universal level. Powerful. God's grandeur, everything seems connected. Now let me discuss the different states of the soul in its spiritual wanderings. There's great difference between fortunate spirits and wretched spirits. Fortunate spirits are more purified, detached from material life, whereas wretched spirits are less purified and more attached to material life. Fortunate spirits can travel through space to other worlds, whereas wretched spirits are anchored to their surroundings. Fortunate spirits rejoice in the shining brightness, whereas wretched spirits wander in darkness. Fortunate spirits are united with loved ones, while wretched spirits are tormented by remorse and grief. Fortunate spirits are delighting in indescribable happiness, whereas wretched spirits are isolated from consolation. Unfortunate spirits have many mansions of happiness. Wretched spirits, however, are separated from loved ones by moral suffering and many mansions of sorrow. Here's an example of our solar system, the different categories of inhabited worlds. Those different types are primitive worlds, where initial incarnation of human souls. Then there's worlds of trials and expiations, like our Earth, where evil predominates. Then there's worlds of regeneration, where atoning souls recover from their fight. Then there are blessed worlds, where goodness outweighs evil. And finally, divine worlds, inhabited by pure spirits where only goodness exists. Where is humanity? Humanity is here, and here, and here, and here, and here, as well as here, 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 and here. Point? Humanity on Earth is just a small microcosm. Earth is compared to our universe as a small community is to a great empire. Imagine New York City. It's created of multiple parts. New York's Presbyterian Hospital, Metropolitan Correction Center, and New York City suburbs. New York isn't any one of its individual parts, but a collection of all of them. The sick and the mutilated, vileness and baseness and vices, Earth also is a combination of its things. You can't focus on humanity in any one aspect. You wouldn't put the healthy into hospitals. You certainly wouldn't put innocent people in prison. And suburban's delights, you wouldn't have hospitals or prisons. As we progress morally and intellectually, we evolve. And through multiple incarnations, we progress. Now, we either progress here or we progress and advance to a newer world. We're always seeking to progress. Progression is the key. Now, let's discuss primitive worlds. They're less evolved than our Earth. Humans are primitive and barbaric. The form is human, but devoid of beauty. As you can see, animal instincts, no morals or sense of right and wrong. Brute force is the law. No industry or inventions. Life spent in conquest for food, and there's vague intuition of a supreme being. Here, I tried to humorously portray the evolution of the spirit. We begin simple and ignorant, and then we progress through multiple incarnations, growing, learning, evolving, until eventually we become highly evolved spirits over millennia and millennia. Divine worlds are much more evolved than Earth. The form is human, but embellished, perfect, and purified. The body lacks earthly materiality, no subject to needs, illness, or deterioration. Heightened senses, because they're not confined by the gross matter that we currently occupy. Lightness allows for rapid locomotion. Illuminated by light. The stories in the Bible of angels is a portrayal of that light, mistaken for wings. They rapidly mature. So each new incarnation, the maturity is at a quicker pace. Their increased longevity based on the level of evolution. The more evolved you are, the longer that you live in that particular incarnation. And then they can communicate freely through thought. Divine worlds, their nations are friendly toward each other. There's no caste system. It's a meritocracy. Those people who lead have earned the right to lead. There's complete respect for authority. Humans do not try to raise themselves above others, but only above themselves by striving for perfection. Becoming pure is a noble ambition. There's no hatred, jealousy, or envy. They're united through love and fraternity. Stronger always help the weaker. There is no lack of necessities, and there is no evil. I provided a little chart here, explaining a bit about how this works. As you can see, the first line represents the primitive worlds. There's virtually no moral development and very little intellectual development. Then as we transition to trials and expiations, there's a bit more intellect and a little bit of increase in morals. Then we transition to a regeneration world. As you can see, increase in both moral and intellect. And then in the blessed world, again, and finally in the divine, where we're on a complete upward trend, drawing nearer to God. God has no favorites. Every spirit possesses the same rights to evolve and progress. We all have the same beginning, and we all have the same destination. As the worlds progress, so do the people, and vice versa. Here's another representation. So in primitive worlds, there's the material progress of the planet and the moral progress of humankind. They're linked. As people mature morally, the worlds that they inhabit mature materially. Earth is a world in transition from a planet of atonement to a planet of regeneration. Welcome to the future. We determine that. We can increase the coming of our world of regeneration if we all work on our fraternity towards one another. Now, God's home symbolically. I did additional research, and the etymology of the word mone, which is the word used in the original Greek when it talks about the abode or the mansions. There's an evolution of the symbolism behind God's home. I found that in the beginning, God is everywhere. God is everything. Then he creates. Through the years, then he becomes parent to the Israelites. Moses provides God's law through the Ten Commandments. And the Ten Commandments are placed in what was known as the Ark of the Covenant. And at the time, the Israelites were wandering through the desert looking for the Promised Land. So the Ark was mobile. So God resided in the Ark. Then David, king of the Israelites, wanted to build God a home. His son Solomon built the temple in Israel, and that was the new home of God. Then Jesus came, and he preached that the temple would be destroyed, and in 3 days it would rise again. This was symbolic of God no longer needing a place to live physically, because when we, his followers, took him into our hearts, that's where God would reside. And that's the meaning of God in us. We hold God in our hearts, and with him and through his guidance, we can become purer spirits, focusing on our self-evolution and our fraternal love for one another. At this point, that would be the end of my talk. I don't know if there's anyone that has any questions, but I thank you all for attending this evening. And I hope that in some small way, I've been able to share the information as I've come to understand it. So I don't see any. So at this point, I will say thank you and I will close with a prayer. Dear friends, incarnate and discarnate, I thank you for your attendance of my talk this evening. I pray that this has been informative for those watching, as it had been for me in studying. I hope there's been a little bit of entertainment as well as enlightenment. Dear Jesus, thank you for providing me with this opportunity to share my studies with others. And dear Lord, Father in heaven, I look forward to the mansion that Jesus has prepared for me in your house. And I hope that all can appreciate their mansions in your dwelling place. And with that, I would like to close my talk this evening. By your grace, so be it.